Okay, let's get an understanding of why we should be developing property. Why, as an investor, you should now look at becoming a property developer. So let's look at a few things. Number one, very obvious, is profit. When you develop your own project, you end up with townhouses or apartments at cost. And I'll explain that to you in an example a little bit later, which you can either sell in the market for instant cash profit, or you can decide to keep the profit in your property, or you can have a mix of both. So the number one reason, nonetheless, is profit. That's why we do everything. That's why we do business. And property development is no business. Every little deal is actually a business venture. Deposit. You can use your profit or your equity as a deposit for your next investment property or your next deal, because you generated all this equity in your project, and you're holding it down. So without actually even selling it, you can use that extra equity as a deposit for your next venture or your next investment property. Capital gain. The moment you develop, there is instant capital gain. As you just because you've actually got it lower than the market, there is instant capital gain when you do property development. Rental yield. Your total cost of the development for your unit will always be less than the market value, which gives you higher rental yield. Now, there could be somebody else who's bought the house right next to yours and they paid full retail, let's say 700,000, but you on the other hand only paid 550,000. So the rental yield is exactly the same, because he's got a 4-bedroom house and maybe you've got a 4-bedroom house, and you both can rent it out and you get the exact same rent. However, because you've got it at a lower rate, your rental yield is always going to be higher than anybody else's. There are all sorts of tax benefits. If you develop and hold your properties, you can claim substantial depreciation. You can avoid capital gains tax if you're holding them, and if you hold them for 5 years, you don't even have to pay GST on them when you sell them after the 5-year period. So there are different tax benefits available. Higher return on capital. Well, because you leveraged off the existing equity in your property, the upfront payment is far less than the return. Therefore, your return on new capital invested can be in the range of 80 to 100%. And I will show you an example very soon. Portfolio explosion. Bang. When you acquire properties at cost, you acquire a lot more properties in a shorter amount of time. That gives your portfolio an instant boost. Greater savings. If you are following a develop and hold strategy, you can avoid agents' commission, marketing costs, GST, and all of which will add to your bottom line, because especially this applies when you're actually holding them, so there are no other extra costs associated with it. Acquiring property at cost. Let's look at this feasibility here. Now, this is a real feasibility from an actual deal. I am part of this deal. I can't reveal any more details about the deal, but I'm not the only one in the deal. There are 5 other investors that are with me in this project, and all I want you to understand in this feasibility summary sheet is, if you look at the total project cost, which is 442,000, and that's per SQM, which is basically it's for apartments. So it's 452,000 per apartment. But if you look at the total project revenue after GST is 651, and I'm just claiming after GST costs here and after GST costs over here. So the profit, if you were part of this deal and you had made that much profit, you had basically acquired the property at cost. And let me give you an example. So if you were an investor and you would have bought each unit at an average value of 700,000 or 651,000, for example. If you were to buy this as an investor, and you would have paid full 700,000 for it. But as a developer, because you got in the deal from the very beginning of the deal and you made everything happen, you get to keep your developed product with an average profit of almost 173,000. Now, would you consider this a good discount for your next investment deal? So these are the main benefits when of developing, and each one of these, the rental yield, the capital gain, and the deposit, they all help you really exponentially grow your property portfolio.